Okay, some really big news is breaking for central government employees and pensioners all across India. The government has just given the green light to kickstart the 8th Pay Commission. Now, this is a huge deal. It's going to reshape salaries and pensions for a long time. So let's dive in and break down what this actually means for you.
And when I say this is a big deal, I mean it's massive. Just look at that number. We're talking about a decision that's going to directly affect a staggering 1.19 crore people. That breaks down to about 50 lakh current employees and another 69 lakh pensioners. Every single one of them has their financial future tied to what this commission recommends.
So here's the official word. The Union Cabinet has approved what's called the Terms of Reference for the 8th Pay Commission. You can think of this as the starting gun being fired. The whole process of overhauling the pay structure is now officially in motion.
Which, of course, brings us to the most important question, right? What does all this jargon and official speak actually mean for your wallet, for your salary, your pension, your take-home pay? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out. Here's a quick look at our game plan. We'll start by confirming that, yes, a pay raise process is officially happening. Then we'll quickly cover what a pay commission actually is. After that, the fun part, decoding what your salary hike could look like. We'll also tackle the super important Dearness allowance question. And finally, we'll map out the road ahead for the commission. All right, first things first. Let's just be crystal clear on this. The wheels are officially turning for a salary revision. It's happening.
You know, this approval of the terms of reference is the formal green light. It sets up this temporary body whose one and only job is to look at the current pay scales and recommend a whole new structure for salaries, for allowances, for benefits, the whole shebang. The engine has been turned on.
So what exactly is this pay commission that has so much power? Let's do a quick primer just to make sure we're all on the same page here. Basically, a pay commission is a special body the government sets up every so often. Its job is to do a deep dive, a complete review of the entire compensation system. The main goal? To adjust for all the economic changes. You know, things like inflation and the rising cost of living, to make sure that government pay stays fair and, well, livable.
And this whole review process, it happens on a pretty predictable schedule, about once every 10 years. If you remember, the 7th Pay Commission's changes kicked in back in 2016. So if we follow that same timeline, everyone expects the new recommendations from this 8th Commission to start rolling out from January 1st, 2026. All right, let's get to the part I'm sure everyone's been waiting for, the money. How much could your salary actually go up?
Now, to really get a handle on the potential hike, there's one term you absolutely have to know, the fitment factor. It's basically a magic number. As the slide says, it's the multiplier that the commission decides on, and it's used to calculate your new basic pay based on your old one. So it's simple. The higher the fitment factor, the bigger your pay jump.
Okay, let's use this table to see how this plays out in the real world. Check out that first row. The 7th Pay Commission used a fitment factor of 2.57. That's what took the minimum basic pay from 7,000 rupees all the way up to 18,000. Now, for the 8th Commission, look at the two possibilities. Some experts think it'll be a more conservative 1.92, which would still boost the minimum pay to over 34,000 rupees. But, and this is the big one, if they repeat the 2.57 factor from last time, that minimum pay could skyrocket to over 46,000 rupees, a huge difference.
And this chart really helps you see what that feels like. Let's just imagine a mid-level employee who's making 1 lakh a month right now. Depending on how the final numbers shake out, their salary could see a bump of anywhere from 14 to 18%. That's the kind of tangible, real-world impact we are talking about.
But wait, it's not just about the fitment factor. There's another really critical piece to this puzzle, and frankly, it's causing a huge debate. I'm talking about the Dearness allowance, or DA.
So, what is DA? The easiest way to think about it is as an inflation shield. It's this extra allowance that's paid on top of your basic salary. It gets revised twice a year, and its whole purpose is to help your income keep up with rising prices. It's a really crucial part of your total pay.
And this brings us to the million-dollar question that the Commission has to answer. Should the Dearness allowance just be merged right into the basic pay? This has been a demand from employee unions for a very long time, and whatever the Commission decides here will have massive ripple effects.
From an employee's point of view, the argument for merging is pretty clear. First off, it would give your basic salary a huge boost. And since other things, like your house rent allowance, are calculated based on that basic pay, they would go up too.
And maybe most importantly, it would mean much bigger pension calculations and better retirement benefits down the road.
But of course, it's not that simple. On the other side of the coin, a merger comes with some pretty big challenges. For the government, it would make the total wage bill explode, putting a serious strain on public finances. And some economists are also pointing out a potential irony. Pumping this much extra cash into the economy could actually end up fueling the very inflation that the DA was created to protect you from in the first place.
So, with all these complex, high-stakes issues on the table, what does the road ahead actually look like for this commission?
Well, first, let's meet the people in charge. The commission is being led by a former Supreme Court judge, Ranjana Prakash Desai. She's joined by Professor Pulak Ghosh from IIM Bangalore and the Petroleum Secretary, Pankaj Jain. A pretty powerful team.
And here's the timeline we're looking at. The initial approval happened in January of 2025. We're expecting the commission to be formally put together by April 2025. Then, they get about 18 months to study everything and write up their final report, all pointing toward that target implementation date of January 1st, 2026.
And believe me, their job is not going to be easy. Just look at this list. They have to perform this incredibly delicate balancing act. They have to consider the overall health of the economy, the financial burden on state governments, the massive cost of pensions, and even how government pay stacks up against jobs in the private sector. Which really brings us to the final, critical question that's at the very heart of this entire process. How in the world can the Commission find that perfect balance between meeting the very real, very valid expectations of over 1 crore people, while at the same time protecting the country's overall economic health? That is the multi-billion-dollar challenge that they're facing right now.